Sup? This is Gregatron. This is about Venom. You all know I like Venom. Everybody knows that I like Venom. That I love Venom. This is a Venom-based video, obviously, with the title and what I just said in the shirt. I know it's clean. Alright, so initially Venom wasn't supposed to be in the MCU, and I was all for that. I was like, good. That way they don't have to worry about all these other people and what they're doing. They can just focus on straight Venom. You know, that's kind of what they did with Deadpool, Sony, and Deadpool was a hit. You know, the budget on Deadpool wasn't very big, and I was perfectly okay with that because Deadpool's not like a super high-tech, intergalactic character. He's just this guy who has a healing factor that talks shit, and he uses swords and guns. So I'm like, okay, a Venom movie like that, that'll be great. Like I said, we don't have to worry about anybody else. We can just have him and Carnage chasing each other around and trying to kill each other the whole movie, pretty much. Well, then they switched it up and they're like, we're going to throw him in the MCU. And I'm like, why? It's weird. It makes no sense. You can't throw him in the MCU out of nowhere. It's like they're only doing it for a moneymaker. They're like, oh, well, Captain America movies, they're making all this money. The Avengers movies, they're making all this money. Everybody else in Marvel Studios right now, they're making a bunch of money. Thor 3, that's all making a bunch of money. So we're going to put Eddie Brock in the MCU. That way we'll rack up a bunch of money like all the other Avengers. But no, that doesn't work with Venom because you're not building up the character one bit. You know, that's what Spider-Man 3's problem was. They introduced Eddie Brock in Spider-Man 3, but then they introduced Venom in that same movie. That's not going to work again, because the thing about Venom is Venom hates Spider-Man. He doesn't hate Peter Parker, he hates Spider-Man. Now, Eddie Brock might not care for Peter Parker, but Venom's hatred is towards Spider-Man. So you can't have... This is just so fucked up. You cannot just throw Venom in the MCU without any build-up. You know, Infinity War comes out in 2018, this summer. This video is... I'm making this right now, in 2018. There's no hint of the symbiote in Infinity War, which makes no sense if Venom's going to be in the MCU, because Thanos actually comes from outer space. So it'll make perfect sense for him to bring the symbiote on his ship, even though it's not the Secret Wars, but it's the Infinity Wars, which is kind of the same ballpark at least. But instead they're using the Iron Spider, the Iron Suit, from Tony Stark, whereas if the Guardians of the Galaxy, if they're involved in this story, since Thanos is involved, it would make so much more sense to introduce the symbiote in that. So my question is, when did Peter Parker ever have the symbiote? I'm going to say that again. Infinity War comes out this summer. Venom comes out in the fall, early winter. So when did Peter Parker ever get the black suit? This suit, when did he ever have it? It won't make sense for Eddie Brock to be in the MCU as Venom right now. That's why I feel like they just threw him in there as a moneymaker. You know, are they going to have some really, 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 really good flashbacks? And another thing, Spider-Man Homecoming Spider-Man, what's his name, Tom Holland, he portrays like a 16 or 17-year-old version of Peter Parker. Whereas Tom Hardy in real life is like almost 40. So we have one guy that's almost 40 and one guy that's almost 20. So how's the relationship between them even going to work when in reality Eddie Brock and Peter Parker are only like 5 years apart? They work in the same building. They work for the same boss. Like, Peter Parker's in high school right now. So he doesn't even work for the Daily Bugle right now. And that's another... Oh my, this is just so stupid. The Daily Bugle is a big part of Venom's existence. Because Eddie Brock published an article, a really, really, really big article, that put his name on the map as a reporter, and everybody respected him and loved him for it. But Spider-Man found the holes in that article, exposed it as false, flipped it on him. Jonah found out that there was false information. That's why that's why he fired him to begin with. That's why Eddie Brock hates Spider-Man for ruining his life. He holds that against Spider-Man because everything was fine and dandy until Spider-Man opened up the truth on that story he wrote. The symbiote also hates Spider-Man for rejecting him and throwing it away because the symbiote really liked Spider-Man. He was the first host that actually bonded with and loved him. So they both hate Spider-Man equally. That's what makes Venom so special, so important. But you don't have the Daily Bugle. He's in high school, so how could he work for the Daily Bugle? And even if he did, would Eddie Brock work for the Daily Bugle too? And on top of that, when did he ever get the symbiote? So how can you just throw him in the MCU? It's stupid. It's really stupid. You can't have Infinity War and Venom come out in the same year. Like, if you're going to put him in the MCU, put him in the MCU. But why would you release the movie the same year when there's no backstory yet? Like, so far, the only person he's gone through is Vulture. Right? And there's not even going to be a Homecoming Part 2 yet. They're just going straight to Venom. Now, if they wanted to use Mysterio in the next movie and introduce the black suit, okay. But they're not doing any of that. They're just like, alright, we're just going to throw Venom in there. That's trash. Like, how can you take such a good character? How can you take somebody so good and just toss him in there? Like, people don't realize if Disney had the rights to Venom earlier on, Venom could have been in Civil War. Like, a lot of people could have been in Civil War. That's a whole nother video. But it's like they finally got the rights. They're like, oh, we have the rights. We're just going to throw them in there then. Even though we're not going to have any backstory on any symbiote, any Daily Bugle. I don't know. Like, this is stupid. Like, I saw in an interview, they're like, you know, no one knows anything about the movie yet, but we're going to tell you. Everybody's like, yeah, what is it? They say, okay, it's going to be based off Lethal Protector, which everybody loves. All Venom fans love Lethal Protector. And it's also going to be based off of Planet of Symbiotes. But those are two stories that have Spider-Man in them. So, is Spider-Man going to be in those stories? Because they say, well, it's a standalone Venom movie. Like I said earlier, it doesn't fit. Tom Holland and Tom Hardy, the two Toms, can't be together in the Venom movie if there's no backstory. Like, Lethal Protector, Spider-Man is in it. Lethal Protector. Lethal Protector. Lethal Protector. He's in that shit. Like, you can, it's hard to find certain Venom stories without Spider-Man being involved. Like, this is Planet of Symbiotes right here. And Spider-Man is in there. He's in there. That's him and Mary Jane right there. There's the thing. Like, how's this gonna work? It's based off Planet of Symbiotes and Lethal Protector. Those are two huge stories that are Spider-Man based. Even Ben Reilly is in Planet of Symbiotes. You know, I'm nerding out right now. Like, I'm gonna make another video with just like sharing my Venom comics, and like I'm gonna start reviewing Venom stories. Like, but yeah, it just doesn't work. Venom cannot be in the MCU. Fans are gonna hate it. I hate to say I'm gonna hate it, cause like I just can't explain how it's gonna work. Like, how can you make a great Venom movie without explaining it through Spider-Man first? You can't have Venom without Spider-Man. Like, you can't have Carnage without Venom. Get it? I don't know. If you're a Venom fan, I want you to hit me up in the comments. I want you to either email me or message me or something. I'll give you my phone number. I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah. We need to talk, because this is, I just don't get it. Please explain it to me. I know I'm rehashing what I've been saying the whole video, but please. Like, how's this movie gonna work? I'm not worried about the action. I'm not worried about how he's gonna look. I'm not worried about the actors, the cast. I just want to know how this movie's gonna work if he's in the MCU. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later.